Yo, hello everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters, and welcome to another Into the Darkness. So, last month, me and my amazing friends here, we did the first part of our two-part franchise discussion on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, we did 1 to 4 and part 1, and here we are to finish off the franchise with the final selection of movies. But before we get started, hello, Mr. DJ Anubis of the Metal Tavern Radio. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing quite well, sir. It's a beautiful day. Got good friends, got good topics. So, doing well. Thank you.
Yes, and Mr. Anthony Jordan of Anthony Jordan's Movies and Gaming. How are you, my friend?
Doing good, like Anubis, great friends, great topics, other than a mild inconvenience before this, can't complain.
Yes. Well, with that all said and done, this has been quite an interesting little, search going through these movies, reading about them, and then actually watching them and, getting to see the different facets of this particular franchise. So let's get cracking and start with the next entry, which was from 2003. It is, of course, the remake of the original, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I think in our last discussion, I think we're all pretty much agreed, even though it is a classic and it's a standout for many within the horror community. It ain't that scary and not much killing happens. It's more, I think, the shock value or the intense screaming and the intensity of like people being kidnapped. But it's not really that gory or frightening. Where the remake, I feel, did a better job and at least trying to make it more scary with the gores. So Anthony Jordan, we'll start with you. What's your opinion of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake?
I really like it. I even went out of my way to track down the old New Line Cinema Ultimate Edition DVD or whatever it was, where it folds out into the shape of a chainsaw blade.
Oh, that's cool.
It came with this metal cover, and even to go with the fact that it was being marketed as a real crime, like actual so-called crime scene photos.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
But I really like this one. It's got a good, like, dirty, gritty feel to it. It just takes the movie serious 100% of the time. It's probably got the single scariest Leatherface, even if he does get overshadowed by Arlie Ermy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Anubis, how did you feel revisiting this film? Because, of course, it is meant to be a direct remake of the original, but there are slight differences in this one.
Yeah, so as I was telling you, like, I didn't get a chance to rewatch this. I do own it on DVD. I have the actual DVD of this. Like Anthony, first saw it, loved it. I was already a Jessica Biel fan before. Like, I think she's great as our main character in this. Arlie Ermy is fucking amazing from, of course, Full Metal Jacket, going way back. So he's always kind of live up to his reputation. I had forgotten that Andrew Berninski was Leatherface in this until just now. Like, I had seen the next film with him in it, thinking that was the only one he was in, but he's actually in this as well. But again, I agree with Anthony that this is a much more serious approach. It gets down and dirty with it. The soundtrack is amazing, as I was talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. So even though I didn't get a chance to re-watch it before we were doing this, I do remember loving the shit out of it. Like, of all the people that know me, when I say I dislike a lot of remakes, this isn't one of them. This is one that actually does a great job of redoing original material.
Yeah, I agree. Like, for me personally, that's why I think I prefer this to the original in many ways, because this is everything I would have expected the remake to be. the original to be. You know, in terms of if the scares, like Anthony says, it's gritty, it looks dirty, grimy. It has like this uncomfortable feel to it, you know, in terms of like when you see the slaughterhouse abandoned, or when you go to the actual home of the Sawyer family, and you know, you see like all like the dead animal flesh laying around, and the place looks dirty, even though people are living there, it looks abandoned. And as you've mentioned, the cast in this, the cast I thought were really strong. And yeah, I really enjoyed the second one.
I also got the Haya toys.
Oh, nice. I thought it'd be bigger though.
Yes, I thought there might have been, but the thing with this film as well, there's a lot of members of the crew that actually came back from the original film in this. So, like it says, the plot follows a group of young adults traveling through rural Texas who encounter Leatherface and his murderous family. It is a remake of Tobe Hooper's 1974 film and the fifth installment. Several crew members of the original film were involved with the project. Hooper and writer Kim Kenkel served as co-producers. Daniel Pearl returned as the cinematographer, and John Larroquette reprised his voice.
Yep. John Larroquette.
John Larroquette. He reprised his voice narration for the opening scenes.
I can't remember though. Does this film? Because like I didn't get a chance to rewatch it, but did they have a person in a wheelchair in this one or no?
The old man.
Okay, yeah. So, but it wasn't like one of the five.
No, it wasn't one of the main.
Okay, yeah, that's why I thought I remember. Yeah, they kind of switched that up.
Yeah. So in the original, it was Franklin who was Franklin, disabled. Yeah, he was disabled in the wheelchair. In this one, it's a member of the Sawyer family who's actually. But it's funny because when we get to the next one, which is the direct prequel to this one, you actually discover how he ends up in the wheelchair, which is really quite good.
It's not too far away from what you imagined happening.
Oh, absolutely. Just crazy. So, I think we all agree that this one, even though it's the direct remake, it's probably better. In my opinion, this is the film that the original creators probably wanted to make, because I feel as if because it's got a lot of the people who worked on the first one came back for this one, and so because they came back, I feel like they were trying to do the corrections of things that they might not have been happy with the first one. But you will have some people that will probably look at this and go, it's not as good as the original, who are like the diehards of the first movie.
Yeah, this is one of the few horror films where there's a legit split among the fandom over whether the original or remake is better.
Well, I find that a good thing, though, because it means there's good debate going on, and you can dissect the film properly and, like, you know, do negatives and, you know, positives on the movie.
Yeah.
So we are heading into the second movie in this franchise, which I personally think is also like this one. I think it's a great prequel. And it is, of course, the next film is called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning, which is a direct prequel to the remake. And I thought this did a real good job of like tying in all of the basically the connections from the first movie to this one. So this film, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning is a 2006 American slasher film and a prequel to the 2003 film. It was written by Sheldon Turner from a story by Turner and David J. Scroll, directed by Jonathan Lisbisman, and co-produced by Kim Kenkel and Tobe Hooper. So the original creators are still very much involved in the franchise. The film story takes place 4 years before its predecessor. It stars Jordana Brewster, Deanna Bard, Taylor Hadley, Matt Boomer, and R.L. Ermey returns. And he, for me, was the star of this film.
Yeah.
He is literally steals every scene with the one-liners, and he's pretty damn good in it.
Yeah.
The other casts were okay in this, I suppose. Like, let's face it, they do bring in, I've noticed with each film, a really hot chick.
I love Jordana Brewster, man. I crush on her hard.
I feel like as a whole, I do feel like the main cast was a step down from the cast from the remake.
Yes, they're not as good as the cast from the original, from the one previous as the remake. But the one thing I did quite enjoy about this one is I did like the story of these two brothers who are like, one's like a Vietnam veteran kind of thing. He's already served and he's going back. He's got a younger brother who doesn't want to join Vietnam, is under pressure from his older brother. And you've got the two girlfriends accompanying them when they're going to like a concert. And then obviously you have the backstory of the slaughter of the meat, the meat house, the slaughterhouse. That's basically the town's basically falling apart. The town's basically, all the businesses.
The only one of the problems in this is one, Eric, who's like the vet, is really young, and it's supposed to be in '69. So like the way they dress doesn't really match that era. Like that kind of surprised me. They kind of missed the mark on, because to me, I thought this was like a present day like setting, like the way it was. Like aside from the cars, everything else looked like it was more modern day the way they dress. I thought that's a little weird. So I was kind of disappointed they missed the mark on that.
It felt like they said it's back in the 1970s, but they didn't look like they came from the 1970s.
Right.
One thing I do like is that what gets them dragged into this is the younger brother burning his draft card.
Yeah.
Because despite how depraved he is, R. Lee Ermey's character clearly does have some respect for people in the military. So had he not done that, and the older brother is like, well, I'm going back to Vietnam and my brother's being drafted, I'm taking him to the base, I think chances are better than not he just would have let them go and settled for just taking the motorcycle gang member he had just killed.
Yeah.
That shit was awesome. I thought that shot was so good.
That was really good.
I'm glad to see you, officer. I'm sure you are.
And the thing is, if you remember, a part of the plot of this movie, like you see, he does have respect for people who serve in the military, because there's that one particular scene as well where he's talking the backstory where he himself must have been in the military, and how basically that's just how he got he's like, I guess, his fetish for meat and cannibalism, because he says when he was a war prisoner, he had no choice but they had to take turns on who was going to get killed, and then they would eat the person who got killed. So obviously that had this long-term effect on him. And then I love how it kind of just perfectly slid from the prequel into the remake. So you see them kill, because even the sheriff who's there is like, next week I'm leaving town because this place is dump and shutting down. So he sees an opportunity and he kills the sheriff and takes his uniform and says, like, there's going to be no police around, there's going to be no cops. We've basically got free range of this town, the Sawyer family. And then the next movie, when it moves into it, you've got the mom, who's like the grandmother figure. She's running the cafe in the gas station. He's the sheriff. And then the one who we do see in the first one, the remake, who's no longer got his legs, he had the pickup truck. In this one,
that's Hoyt. I think that's Hoyt.
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw it out now because we're no doubt gonna get someone in the comments, but it's technically the Hewitt family this time.
Yes.
Oh, the Hewitts. Oh yeah, they don't call them the
Sawyers.
Sawyers. Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah.
that's the Hewitt.
Yeah, they changed things up a little bit. But here's something I liked that didn't really, even though Leatherface is in this, it's all about the sheriff. It's in like how he's like running the town, and it's like the build up of everything that leads into the remake. And of course he's like a young man with learning disabilities, and he's working actually at the slaughterhouse, the meat mill, and you actually just see him just kill his boss because the place is shutting down. Go, well, I've got no meat to cut up, I've got nothing to butcher, I'll just take it out on you. And that's what led to the sheriff getting killed.
Okay, when I seen this one at the theater, and I actually laughed out loud at that part because I had just worked a Saturday shift on my job, and the one supervisor who was over on the weekend, he was just particularly arrogant and aggravating that day. So that was just very fun to watch.
Yeah. So here's another thing when it came to the remaking, because they're both linked together. They're like the prequel and a sequel basically linked together. What was your overall thought of the re-look of Leatherface?
Great.
I love it, even though I know a lot of people now, for some reason, it's popular to hate that mask and say it looks fake, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, like I was looking at images the other day of the original Leatherface, and I just don't think it holds up the way it used to. Where that one looks really good. It's like a mixture of like Frankenstein's monster to me. It's like that's what they imagined him to look like when he was stitching up like the skin masks for his face. That's what it makes me feel like. That's what they like based that look and that design of Leatherface on for this time around.
I like the idea behind the mask that it's something that's constantly evolving, that he'll kill a victim and he'll see a part of the face that he likes, and then he'll add that to his mask.
Like there's that particular kill as well where you have this in the remake where you look like you had like a leather mask that he had for years, and the leather was like this horrible grey brownish color because it obviously it's leather, but it's like falling apart. And then when the boyfriend gets killed and he carves it off his face, and when Jessica's characters looks at Leatherface from the distance and you get a clear view of his face, and you can make out it's a boyfriend's skin on his face. And that, for me, it was attention to detail that made it just work in the prequel and obviously the remake.
Honestly, I like that mask he had in the beginning of the film that just covered the lower part of his face.
And I also think why these films work is because of who actually produced them and made them. They were made by New Line, I think. Because I've been looking up as well that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre story, there's 4 timelines. So the original continuity was the original 1974, then the sequel in 1986, which we all love. The Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 in 1990, The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a fucking disgrace. That one from 1995. So them four are one universe and set in one time frame. Then the Millennium films, which is the alternative continuity, that starts with Leatherface 2017, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974, and Texas Chainsaw 3D. A Legendary Entertainment universe is the original 1974 film, and then the Netflix remake, the Netflix 2022 film. But Platinum Dunes, they're the ones that did the beginning in the direct remake, the one that we're talking about. So I think Platinum Dunes for me did a fantastic job, and I wish they could have continued, because I would have loved to have seen what came next after the remake, because I like the characters and I like the portrayal of Leatherface in these two movies.
I think it kind of funny, like Michael Bay, the whole purpose behind Platinum Dunes was to produce lower budget films, but after this they kind of became a default remake studio.
Yeah. Now, the next movie that we're about to talk about is when obviously all of a sudden 3D cinema became the big thing for a little while. Everyone had to have like a 3D movie. So you had like that was it Shark Night 3D, you had Piranha 3D. So all of that, them two particular films, I think really got the 3D out there, and obviously there were bigger budgeted films that also made 3D films popular. So you knew eventually someone would jump on the bandwagon and do a horror film in 3D. And so why not do Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 3D? So this film, the Texas Chainsaw 3D, it was directed by John Lesushop, and with a screenplay by Adam Marcus, Deborah Sullivan, and Kirsten Elms were the creators of this particular film. And the story basically, the story centers on a woman who, upon discovering she was adopted, decides to go looking for her ancestral home, and then all these events start transpiring where her and her friends are then met face to face with Leatherface, and there's also like secrets among the people around them and the police, and it all leads to a big reveal of who she is and who our real family were. Anthony, your opinion of Texas Chainsaw 3D?
I put this about as low, if not lower, than The Next Generation. This movie is just, there's a scene in this movie, and these characters, they're coming from Louisiana to Texas. I know the "do your thing, cuz" is the most hated line in this film, and don't get me wrong, that's awful. But for me, like, the worst bit of dialogue in this movie is when one of the characters from Louisiana tells Leatherface, "Welcome to Texas." And they even try to make the Sawyer family into these the cannibal killers into misunderstood victims. No, this movie is horrible.
Yeah. But I found the plot of this really strange, like, especially with the lead actress, who's now basically throughout the film, she's seeing her friends getting butchered by the family and everyone involved. But then right at the end, she fucking saves Leatherface. And she decides to basically adopt him and look after him by the film's end, even though it starts off where she's just seen her boyfriend, her best friend, and her best friend's boyfriend get mutilated by this crazy fucking psychopath, and she then gains, she then gains great sympathy for him because he's an old man with learning difficulties, with mental problems. She's like, oh, I guess it's my job to look after you because you're gonna look after me. Yeah, and it was just that total twist where she decided to like kill the cop or help Leatherface hand him the chainsaw to kill.
That's
the
actually
cop.
the least of my issues with it.
It's like they didn't know how to. It's like they didn't know how to end the movie, so they made something new just made it up on the day.
Yeah, it was like they were trying to get more of shock value, but you know, Alexander Daddario, she's the
best thing about it.
Yeah, she's the pain her breasts. Oh, the best thing about that movie. But
let's not forget it's 20.
I got on load here. Okay. So yeah, so the concept doesn't bother me. In fact, I actually kind of praise them for going this route. However, there's a lot of fucking problems here. One, Tremaine Traysong's never seen who plays the boyfriend. There's a fucking issue where he's fucking her friend on the side that never gets addressed at all. They don't even give a fuck about it that much. Like, they have it happen. And then, like, you expect maybe Leatherface to come in and, like, take care of business. Or maybe as she's running, she comes across him fucking and gets mad at her boyfriend. But no, it's not an issue. In fact, they get in the van together, they're all half naked. How great is that? So then we have that. Then her boyfriend reminds me a little bit too much of P. Diddy, so I kind of just imagined it was as he was dying. But the other thing is with the difference with the change of the heart at the end. So like she finds out that her background, that she's, you know, part of this fucking crazy ass family, and you know, this one younger cop who's part of the Hartmans, like he's taken her to go to the slaughterhouse so that his daddy can take care of her, you know, because the idea is to kill off the entire family. Mm-hmm. So there's this nice moment where she like sticks the knife like behind the glass, like where the hole is, to scare the shit out of him. Like, you think, okay, she's gonna fucking become like this evil badass bitch, like to go along with her cousin. She never goes to that length. She never does. Like, even when she's in the slaughterhouse and she's like, as you said, Anthony said, like, do what you do, cuz, you know, with the fucking chainsaw. I expect her to go fucking nuts, ape shit on these guys. Like, but she really doesn't do much in that turn. She never turns quite evil. In fact, at the end, she's like locking them away. And I'm like, what are we doing here? What is this? Like, it's like you wanted to do this crazy shit where she's actually part of the family. Now she's going to be fucked up, but you don't want to go the full distance of making her truly evil like her cousin. Like, it's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
like, even
that would have been a satisfying ending if she just switched the switch and just was like.
And how fucked up is that? You never actually run back into the young cop. The young cop disappears. He's the one I want to fucking suffer the most.
Like you see, he's sleeping with her best friend. That could have been something where, you know, if they hadn't killed the boyfriend at the point that they did, they could have made it out where she's like all lovey-dovey with him, and then at the end she's like, oh, remember when you were shagging my best friend? And then totally turned into a bitch, and then chained him to the wall, and then went to Leatherface. Do what the fuck
do your thing, cuz. Cut that wanker off.
That would have been perfect. That would have been perfect if they'd done that, where she remained like, seemed like, you know, she was like, she had just totally forgot about it, but then the back of her mind, you hadn't went, oh, remember when you were fucking my best friend? Did you think I'd forget that? And then next thing, Leatherface pins him to the wall, and she's like, do your thing, cuz. And then she just sits in the chair watching with a smile on her face or something.
Yeah.
Made it, you know, that would have been the other thing that I did like about this is they did have a cameo from Bill Moseley. You know,
yeah.
they were like,
And
they were paying.
Madeline Burns.
Well, did you know?
Yeah.
Did you know in the last film, Lee Tergerson, the guy that plays Holden, the other biker that looks for his girlfriend? That's the guy that played Rosie in Point Break.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Oh,
Some
and
nice
Scott
little cameos
Eastwood.
there.
I forgot Scott Eastwood was in this as well.
Yeah.
But
Another thing, like if this one is set 20 something years over the original, why do they have smartphones in the movie?
yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about that too.
Now, the next movie I found strange. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I liked it, but I don't know if I didn't like it. I'm like
Yeah, I
stuck in the
got
middle of
to
it,
say
me
that one too.
feelings. So I'm talking about Leatherface, simply Leatherface. And this basically is the origin story of the man who will become Leatherface, which, first things first, I think the casting choice of who they picked to play Leatherface or who would become Leatherface for me was totally not right. Wrong casting, because he's called Sam Strike. Now, Sam Strike, the actor who becomes Jebediah, who then becomes Leatherface, the only other acting credit I had seen, because he's a British actor, he was in a soap opera in the UK called EastEnders. And he left EastEnders after only being in that show for a couple of years to then try and crack Hollywood. And I think this was his big break. And I don't even think I've seen him in anything else since. But I just don't know. This film has me divided on like how I feel, to be honest. So Leatherface is a 2017 American horror film directed by Julian Maury and Alexandra Bustillo, written by Seth M. Sherwood and starring Stephen Dorff, Vanessa Grass, Sam Strike, and Lily Taylor. It is the 8th installment of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise and works as a prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 and Texas Chainsaw 3D. So that's another thing I found strange, that this is actually meant to be a prequel to even the previous movie 3D. But for me, it just didn't feel like it fits. It just, it doesn't feel like it fits that kind of world or that narrative from that previous movie.
This
The
movie.
awesome highlight.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say there is one or two highlights for me, and I did like Lily Taylor's performance in this, and Stephen Dorff. Thought they were good in this.
From what I understand, they kind of made this one because the rights were about the lapse, and it does feel like they just took a random script they had in a drawer and just like, here, just change enough of this to make it a TCM film.
Well, it's gotcha. Following the financial success of Texas Chainsaw 3D, a sequel was into development from director John Lussenshop. A planned shoot in Louisiana, but failed to receive the green light to move forward. In favor of avoiding the convoluted continuity of the previous films, while going into an unexpected direction, Seth M. Sherwood pitched Leatherface to Millennium Films as a prequel that would follow the titular character in a mentally continent state, enduring trauma that transforms him into the disabled murderer seen in the previous films. So that's, for me, is where the film, I got really mixed vibes and feelings with how they represented this Jebediah who eventually is going to become Leatherface. Like how he's like in this like this troublesome like teen mental institution, and his mother's like fighting for custody to get her hands on him. She's clearly warped in the head, she's like the matriarch of like the Sawyer family at the time, and you see that scene where he's younger, where he's getting forced to basically use a chainsaw on somebody in the house, and then the grandfather ends up bopping him across the head with a mallet. And it's just like, you've disappointed the family. And for me, it just felt strange. It just didn't feel for me like it mixed like the world of Leatherface and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that we've had previously.
The greatest mistake with this film is the possibility was actually very, very good. The plot, because you had Ike and Clarice, who were two other inmates, who were basically doing their natural born killing spree while having
Bonnie and Clyde.
If they had concentrated on, like, the way I could have saw this playing out is like a sort of like, you have the sheriff, of course, who's got his own revenge theory, but having Ike and Clarice, and then having Sam and Bud and Lizzie who are in tow, this could have easily turned into like, if you remember, Alien versus Predator Requiem. So you have basically Alien and Predators fighting each other, but the humans come secondary because this war is going on between these two evil factions. This is sort of how I saw this could have been playing out. They could have made it more about who's like the biggest dick, like, basically, like, is it going to be Clarice and Ike, or is it going to be Sam and Bud? Who's going to be the more evil of the bunch? And I'd have rather seen like a war play out between those two, where Lizzie and even the sheriff and even Verna like become like secondary to what this clash of shit going on. But the way that shit played out was like, I was let down with that, because they eventually, even though Bud is the one that, like, when Kevin and I were talking off screen, Bud is the one you're kind of thinking is becoming Leatherface, but he's not the one. But what he does to Ike is pretty fucked up, like with the rock and the mouth and everything. But then fucking Clarice, who's a crazy bitch, like, she's really a loose cannon, especially with that dead body in the fucking trailer. So she gets shot by the sheriff because he's just pissed off that she's mocking him. And I'm like, that's so weak. Like, I wanted to see like her getting really fucked up by Leatherface or somebody, right? So you could have had this cool fucking like evil versus evil war that went through this film, and it would have made it really cool. But you just chose to just stray away from it again. Then you got back to the cliches and then back to the regular thing. And so I was just disappointed how this whole fucking thing played out, but the possibility was there. They had a really golden opportunity to make it really original as far as the TCM movie.
Yeah. What about you, Anthony?
I did not like it. I even found myself fast forwarding through a few parts just to get through this faster. I agree with everything Anubis said, and on top of that, like we mentioned, the character Bud, he's about the right height, and he has all the mannerisms of Leatherface. Yep. And we're expected to believe this other guy who's scrawnier than him, who's pretty much at an age where he's not going to grow anymore, is going to grow a few more inches, put on a couple more 100 pounds, and is going to have a complete personality shift just because his face got scarred up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It just, and I said to Anubis off screen, I even was halfway through the movie, and I seen Bud, and I seen how the other character, Jebediah, was acting around her. And I said, I know for a fact the highness in my face to make us think that Bud's going to be the one who becomes Leatherface, because he's the ideal candidate, because he has the look, the size, he has the personality. But I said, he isn't going to be Leatherface. It's going to be this little scrawny fucking guy next to him. I think, and it just doesn't make sense.
You know, that would have been something if they kept it as Bud, and like at the end he gets all of them and it shows he's a lot smarter than he looks.
Yeah. Like the evil versus evil thing, you've got like them two that are constantly making jokes of Bud. Like, what would have happened at the end if the other two get killed and the final thing you see is Bud shows his true sinisterness and his true character. And
Yeah.
because he's lost his friends, he goes fucking ape shit. He could have even got, say, shot in the face, like what happened. But instead of running to his mom and getting like a mask on, he makes one himself out of like a trailer or something, wraps like a bit of tape around his head, and then he disappears. And the next thing you know, them two could have been like shagging in the trailer, and he just comes bursting through the door with a chainsaw that he just found lying on the middle of a field, like next to the farmhouse.
Right.
And he just
because this movie spent so much time, on the other two characters. That's what I was thinking they were trying to do, is that evil versus evil. But they should have just did away with them at the beginning. Like you said, Bud should have become what he was going to be, take them out, and then just have the sheriff versus the family for the most of the rest of the movie.
And you know what else? I keep forgetting the one that did become Leatherface. I keep forgetting his name, but they could have had where one of the other two killed him, and then Bud actually takes his face and uses that as the initial mask.
Oh, yeah.
Goes on to the killer mask that he uses in the first film as a kind of twisted tribute to his friend.
Yeah.
And how fucking cool would it have been, because the mother was so concerned about Jed, like just so concerned about him. If Bud had done that and taken his face, that mother would have taken him in, because she would have saw the face.
She would have seen the face, but obviously the whole point with that family is that, look, Jebediah couldn't kill the man, and I'm disappointed. Now, if she had seen Bud with her son's face on and seen how sick and sadistic he could be, and also kind of be controlled, it would have been like a light bulb moment, and I said, welcome to the family.
Yep.
Your home. Something of that nature. It would have been a much better story. But I think they deliberately made the actor who played Bud, because of his size and his look and his man, they deliberately just hide this little guy in to be Leatherface, to give you like a shock value that it wasn't Bud. And for me, that's what's disappointing, because I could tell a mile off that's what was going to happen.
You don't even feel shocked. You just, if anything, you're more confused by it than anything.
Disappointed, I would have said.
Yeah.
More disappointing. So, but we did get a highlight a few years later in the next film, after I think the rights of the franchise had kind of dissipated around, and nobody kind of knew who was going to get the rights, when it was going to be brought back. But then the rights ended up in the hands of Legendary and Netflix. And it was a lot of buzz that they had the right to this film and this franchise. And they decided to treat us with their version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2022, which for me, I'm not going to lie, it's not terrible. It's got some real strong highlights in this. I just like it for the kills mostly. And this has got an older Leatherface. This, for me, feels more realistic than how they went with the Leatherface, in terms of it's meant to be basically after the success of Halloween that came out in 2018. Every studio were like, right, we need to do like a legacy sequel on the movies. We need to do a legacy sequel. Like Maverick come out from Top Gun. Jurassic World Dominion was meant to be a legacy sequel. Then you had the diabolical Indiana Jones next installment. So, like everything else, like Hollywood, it's got to follow the trend. So, when Legendary and Netflix got the rights to Leatherface and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think they basically said, right, we've seen what's happened with Halloween in 2018, how they basically ignored every other sequel bar the first movie. So what they did with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, they did the exact same thing, where they ignored every other sequel And this one is the direct sequel to the 1971 version, where Leatherface is literally an old man. He's still living with his mother in it's like to be like a foster home for children. Just like with the remake, where the town, or the prequel, the beginning, where the town's basically bankrupt and abandoned and everyone's moved away, the buildings are just destitute. There's maybe 4 people live in the town, everyone else has disappeared. You've got these property developers who decide that they're going to come in and sell the property to all these city folk who want, a country lifestyle now. And they sell this dream to them. And that's your main cast. But the guy, the main guy in this, he just say, he says, because this town is like abandoned. It's like from the 1970s. It's still got all the old traditional flags that some of the flags now are kind of, what flag was that? That was swaying in the windows at the con.
The Confederate battle flag.
Yeah, Confederate battle flag. And obviously when he sees that, one of the leads, he gets offended and he goes into the try and remove it, not realizing that Leatherface's mother's still there on this barrel of oxygen, and they argue back and forth that she's still got the lease of the property, that she's not going anywhere, and she ends up getting taken by the police to go probably to the nearby hospital. But on her way there, she sadly passes away. But Leatherface, he's basically carried her into the car and is with her. And when she passes away, that's when he loses his shit. And that's where things start to go terribly wrong and things kick off. And for me, I did enjoy a lot of the moments in this movie. I did find this more enjoyable than freaking Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new generation. That film is just diabolical. This film was an Oscar film compared to that pile of shit. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, like you say, it was created by Chris Thomas Devlin. The story was by Fed Alvarez and Rodo Sears. It is the 9th installment. The story focuses, like I say, on the serial killer Leatherface targeting a group of young adults and coming into conflict with a vengeful survivor of his previous murders.
And the probably reason why this is like a step up is because of Alvarez, who did Evil Dead remake as well as Romulus. So he has a hand in that.
Yeah. You can see, and actually, when I watched this the other day, because I had not long rewatched Romulus a few nights ago, and then I've watched this, I can tell straight away this is his style. Yeah. Like the look of it, the feel of it, the tone of it, it feels very much like his movie. And so, what's your thought, Anthony, on this particular movie?
Honestly, this was the one I wasn't able to see.
All right.
It's on Netflix, and I don't have a Netflix, so.
Oh. What about you, Anubis?
It's pretty much the same thought to you. I mean, unfortunately, the cast is very forgettable. There isn't one person in here that I really thought was memorable in any way. Like I said, the only thing I could really remember, I didn't get a chance to rewatch it, but the one thing I do remember is the bus scene, which is really pretty good. The ravers getting their faces and arms, chainsawed off. So that part was fun. But other than that, like the story's kind of weak. And then I don't mind the fact they brought Hardesty back to be a cop, but then again, she dies anyway. So it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But again, when we get to our final rankings, it's going to be better than some of the other ones that we've seen. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing with this, I found that the negative is the hype up they were bringing back Sally Hardesty back, the character. And you know, and like I say, this is why I say it's following the formula of Halloween 2018, when you know you had Laurie Strode confronting Michael Myers years after the events of the first movie, and she's older. You know, Sally's older. They hyped it up and they were building her up that they were going to have like this epic showdown. But then when you actually see what happens, it's like blink and you miss it. And it was like all the promotion was around this confrontation between these two past characters that were going to finally meet after years apart. And for me, that's what was frustrating, how that ended. The highlights for me is I love the initial scene where Leatherface, when his mother dies in the car and he's now alone, basically, he's got nobody left. So he's like, fuck it. And he goes and he snaps the arm of the policeman in the back of the car. And then, you know, the van, sorry, not the car, but the van crashes. And one by one, he's in these fields hiding among the giant, you know, the crops. And the girl who's the survivor in the car, she's looking around when you can see Leatherface basically stalking her. And I thought that was different. It showed me that Leatherface was smart. Like she's looking out for him, and she suddenly catches him looking at her from the crops. And then he kills the other sheriff, kills her, skins her, takes her face. And like you see, there's that rain cloud that happens, and there's the rain, and the rain in the town centre, the setting of it really created atmosphere.
Yeah.
And like you see, the best kill is on the bus. So you've got this bus turns up with all these investors, Anthony, because I know you haven't seen it. So like I say, these young people are buying all the properties.
I remember watching a spoiler review. They're wanting to revive the town, basically.
Yeah. They're buying the property, and they're trying to get investors to invest into the town and like turn it into like a modernized like mini town for New Yorkers and city people who live in the city that want to come and live the city lifestyle and like, you know, have a place to go outside of the big city life. So you've got this big bus that's full of these investors and potential buyers for these properties, and Leatherface gets on the bus and he literally just starts slashing and it's pretty good to go.
Yeah, I do want to see that scene.
The scene is pretty good, but for me, once you get past that scene, that's where the film takes a slow dive, because once you've killed the majority of people in the town, all that's left is these two sisters that are trying to protect each other. And actually, that's another part of the plot that I found interesting. And that's why I like the bus scene in particular, because one of the sisters has been through a traumatic experience. She was involved in this high school shooting. And you have flashbacks where she's lying on the floor next to dead pupils in the school. So when she's on the bus on the floor and a man falls on the floor and the blood starts, you know, spreading out towards her, she starts having flashbacks of lying on the floor in the school. And while Leatherface is still going around slashing people. So I like them elements to the movie. I liked how it like, that was probably the only character for one slight moment I was invested in.
Yeah.
Then like you see, once you get past that big, you know, sequence on the bus, the film takes a slow dive. The characters then there's no real interesting plot beyond that point. Sally gets wasted, and the final confrontation with Leatherface, it was fun, but it's also forgettable.
You know, you mentioned the scene with him stalking her through the field. I tried to find the video, but I couldn't. Shortly after this came out, someone posted a video on YouTube where they edited out Leatherface, and it was the dog from Duck Hunt.
Oh, shit.
So that's my opinion. It's better than The Next Generation, put it that way. And I think like you say, the saving grace is who was the producer on the movie. He did try to do something different with the character, and he added some things that we've never seen Leatherface do before. Like we're seeing him, like I say, that scene in the fields among the crops, and he's deliberately like stalking her without her knowing she's being watched. And we've never seen that of Leatherface. So I really like that. In the massacre scene on the bus, just epic.
I will say, with bringing back the character of Sally, bringing back a character like that does kind of lose a lot of its thematic weight or narrative weight when you have a completely different actor or actress playing the character.
True. Yeah.
And let's be real, if she was still alive, Madeline Burns also had a cameo at the end of the 3D film, and she looked pretty frail in that. So even if she was still alive, there's no way they could have pulled it off.
Yeah, well, she died in 2014, so it's a shame that, we didn't have. But at the end of the day, if this is how I feel, the fact that I know it's not the original actress that plays Sally in this, I think I would have been pretty pissed if they had got, if say Madeline hadn't died and she did return in this film, and they did what they did with the character of Sally after all these years and brought Madeline back to play it, I would have been pissed.
And from what I understand, she gets killed off pretty quick too.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like a long drawn out battle.
Yeah. Well, the whole scenario is weird. So basically, the massacre on the buses took place. Sally turns up in a car in the middle of the rain. She gets the two surviving girls, locks them in the back of her car, gets a shotgun, loads a shotgun. Then she goes into the house where Leatherface lives. She goes up the stairs, and Leatherface is literally just sitting at the end of his bed where his desk is, and he looks at her, and she starts having like this monologue, saying the things you did to me in the past. Do you remember who I am? I'm here for you. And he just stands up, and this was totally out of character for him. He stands up, he picks up his chainsaw, and he walks out the door and walks past her and goes down the stairs. And she just looks with a shocked look on her face, and she goes, he doesn't remember who I am. The next scene is he's going downstairs and he's trying to get the girls in the car. So then she comes out of the house and starts shooting them with the shotgun. And then he may get hit once, and then he literally runs up the vat and just plows the chainsaw into her, lifts her up in the air, and he does this. He just tosses her like that, and she lands on like all these rubbish bags in the alleyway, and that's it.
That's it.
So
that's all she wrote.
The fact that it's not the original actress, and if that's how they had wrote that role and brought the character back for that one particular moment just to kill her off, I would be pissed and disappointed. Why bring Marilyn back into this movie? But obviously she passed away. But if they had brought her back and she hadn't passed away, that would piss me right off. So
yeah, she probably would have like wanted something more out of that. Like, you could argue that he walked past her because maybe there's some respect there that she survived the first time. But since they don't really dive into any of that, you just have no idea like why he's acting the way he's acting.
Like it's left open. It's left open to for the audience to like interpret the scene. Because it's like, does he remember her? Does he know who she is? And like you see, because he recognizes her face and is a survivor, out of respect, he's going to let her stay alive. Or because she's just walked into the house and she's not shown any threatening behavior, he's just walked past her because he doesn't see her as a threat, but doesn't know who she is. You could look at it in many ways. But for me, it was out of character for him as well, because as we've seen in previous films, anyone that comes into the house, if he's hiding, he'll come out and just bop you over the head with a hammer. Oh, yeah. He'll grab you, strangle you, and drag you down the flight of stairs. Where here, he literally just stands up, looks at her like that, bends down, picks up his chain, and walks out. And think that for me is out of character for Leatherface.
Yeah.
Because think about it, she's an intruder in his home, and anybody that invades the family home because he's protector, he would go after them no matter what.
Yep.
But that's here to the buy. So here's the fun bit. We're going to rank each and every one of the movies.
Yep.
So who would like to go first?
I can.
Right? Would you like to go? So this is from the original right up to the 2022 one we're doing.
Yep. So ranking them all 9 films. At 9 is The Wonderful Next Generation at 4 out of 10. At number 8, Texas Chainsaw 2013. Alexander Daddario is the best thing about it, but that fucking plot and script is trash. 4 out of 10. At number 7, 2022, 5 out of 10. Just unfortunately not very interesting characters. Federer or Alvarez does a good job with the gore effects. That's probably the highlight of this one. Number 6, I have Leatherface from 2017 at 6 out of 10. I love the plot. I love the characters, except for I at least love the 2 crazy characters that we have. I just wish that plot would have gone a whole different direction instead of the way they did. So that's at 6. Number 5, Leatherface TCM number 3 from back in 90, I believe, is a 7 out of 10. Ready for the shocker here. Number 4, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 74, 8 out of 10 is at number 4. Number 3 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 at number 3 at 9 out of 10. Number 2, Texas Chainsaw Massacre The Beginning at 10 out of 10. I didn't get to say when we were talking about it, but the ending is not a happy one. And I love the way that Andrew portrayed Leatherface, because Leatherface in these 2 movies doesn't give a fuck.
Yes.
He will take you without even caring one bit. No, like, he will fucking beat you down and doesn't give a fuck. I like this version of Leatherface. Yeah, I had not seen this till today. I have not seen this till today, and this shit was the shit. I love the ending of this.
Yes.
Number 1, number 1 is mainly for a lot of nostalgia purposes, because I still love Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 so much. Dennis Hopper's amazing in that film. Still a 10 out of 10, but the second one, The Beginning, gives it a huge run for its money.
Yes, couldn't agree more. Like you say, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 in The Beginning, for me, they're my go-to films, and then I would go to the third. I would go to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Do you want to do your rankings next, Anthony?
Number 8 at the bottom, Next Generation, no-brainer. Number 7, following not too far behind, TCM 3D. Then I would go the Leatherface prequel. Which it's kind of hard like to rank the next ones. As of right now, I'll go that. And from here on out, I like these films, so if some are better than the others, but next I would go the Beginning, followed by the 90s Leatherface, then the original, the remake, and at top, Texas Chainsaw 2. It's hands down, it's not even close.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. My rankings. At number 9, the shittest thing I've ever seen in my life. The Next Generation. I would take Rec Part 3 over this shit any day. Put it that way.
Rec 3 would obliterate it anyway.
So Next Generation is my number 9. My number 8, it will be Texas Chainsaw 3D. For me, now that you've mentioned what you said before, I feel like it's two separate films that blurred the lines and joined together. One's like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of like film, and the other.
Well, that's actually that one's Leatherface is that one. 3D is with Alexander Daddario. She's the Inheritance one.
Oh yeah, well I'm saying like so. My rankings are Next Generation, then 3D is the one with Alexander. I just hated the ending of this. It made no freaking sense. Then the third one is Leatherface. Sorry, at number 7. And the thing about Leatherface is I just feel like it's two movies that's been joined together. One starts off as a Bonnie and Clyde type film, and then it swoops in and becomes like tied up with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And for me, I just didn't like that. So at number 6, it's the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wow.
Because because for me personally, it just doesn't hold up. And I see too many flaws in it now. And for me, it's like when we did the original review in part 1, I said for me, sitting in the theatre with that, it wouldn't have been the horror that would have terrified me or annoyed me. It would have been just the over-screaming. Over-screaming. It would have just been uncomfortable and hurt me ears, and it would have become more annoying than anything else. And I think that's why back in the day, it shocked people, not for the gore, but for them elements.
Yeah.
At number 5, it's going to have to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Okay.
Number 4, it's going to have to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one from Netflix, the 2022 one. Because I say, it's not great, but I could watch that bus scene all the time. I really, really enjoy that. And like I say, it's like what you said, because of Alvarez, I think he did a great job. So now my top 3 has to be in order. It has to be the remake, the 2003 remake, then the beginning at number 2, and then, of course, at number 1, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yeah.
Because that for me is a cult. All pretty close. But like I say, the original has tremendously dropped, in my opinion. I would now probably, if I'll be totally honest, I would probably not watch that again. I would just watch the remake. I get more entertainment value out of the remake in the beginning. And if I was to ever do a double feature, I would watch the beginning first, then the remake.
It's like I said during the first part, the original, it's a movie you watch for the experience, not the entertainment value.
Yeah, I just don't think it holds up anymore. And, there's other horror films that I can watch and I still get I feel, shocked, or I feel, I feel uncomfortable with. But when I watch that, I get a headache. For me, it's just
that's the thing. Like the way that's shot, Hooper did a really good job with. Like, I think Anthony would agree, the cinematography is amazing of that. It's very gritty. But like you said, towards the end, when Sally's like screaming her head off, like it starts to become like redundant. And it's like, okay, we know you're going through a lot of bullshit, but this is getting ridiculous. And then the more I've watched that film, the more I really pray that Franklin dies. Like, I'm begging for him to die in that film. He's just a whiny ass, and I'm like, just get rid of this guy already. It's like, so I think it doesn't hold up because you start to really you don't even feel bad for the characters anymore. You're just kind of like, just get rid of them, just be done with them.
And it's hilarious in the second one where Dennis Hopper's character, who's his uncle, finds his skeleton and he's still holding the flashlight that's still on. the batteries lasted for 30 years. And then just as he touches the skeleton, the flashlight finally dies.
His light goes out.
Where did they get the batteries and the bulb for that flashlight? Because I want them.
Yeah, right.
Yes. But anyway, it's been a fun experience going through these. I have really enjoyed this. And there were ones I haven't seen, like I haven't seen 3D before. Like I say, it might not be high on my list, but it was still an experience to see. Absolutely love the beginning and the remake 2003 remake's just brilliant. But yes, the next Into the Darkness franchise discussion, I think we're going to have to bring in Daniel Miller because we're going to be talking about Psycho. Because I know he's a big fan.
Huh?
Well, yes, I'm going to make you suffer through those. But I've only ever seen the first two. So this, I'm in for a treat myself. So I don't know how bad or good these films are.
Yeah.
But that will be the next one, Psycho. And coming up on the entertainment headquarters on Friday this week, we are doing the next not Into the Darkness. This is Into the Darkness. We're doing the next Kaiju Connections classic review, and it's going to be The Last Dinosaur. And I think me and my good friend, Mr. DJ Anubis, are also going to be doing the next cinematic synergy, and it's going to be my pick, Screamers.
Yep.
So that's a good film. I cannot wait to talk about that one. But with that said, my good friend, Mr. DJ Anubis, what is coming up on the Metal Tavern Radio?
So like you said, Friday we'll be doing Cinematic Synergy for this month, which will be Screamers, which will be a lot of fun. Kind of revisit that. I think I actually saw that in the theaters way back in the day. Wednesday, obviously, is Mr. Tony the Dead and I do our Ghoul Midnight picks. My pick for this week will be 1986's The Wraith with Charlie Sheen. So we'll be reviewing that one. And then Saturday, Silver Screen Savants with Olvin. My pick for this week with that is Lionheart, Jean-Claude Van Damme. So we'll be reviewing that.
Cool. Anthony Jordan, have you got anything coming up on your channel?
Well, I gotta upload my next part of my Gundam Wing retrospective. I'm continuing that, and some point in August, I don't know when yet, I'm gonna have Sci-Fi Century and Gojira 851 on to discuss The Last Samurai.
Nice. I might be doing that myself in September because September basically it wasn't meant to be.
Samurai month.
It's going to be a samurai month because we're doing the Akira Kurosawa special. Then me, Fat Samurai Guy, and my good friend DJ Anubis are potentially going to do 11 Rebels if we can get together. And then I might as well hide in The Last Samurai to just change things up a bit. But this has been fun, gentlemen, as always. Can't wait to check out the stuff coming on your channel. And for anybody that's watching, please like, share, and subscribe to the Metal Tavern Radio. And of course, Mr. Anthony Jordan Movies and Gaming. And if you want, you can give the entertainment headquarters and Into the Darkness a like, share, and subscribe. But from me and from my amazing friends, this has been the entertainment headquarters. Keep on enjoying all your movies and all things entertainment, and we'll catch us all at the next one.